Hey guys, this is Shady. So this video is about all my settings that I use in game, and if you don't want to sit through the whole video, there are timestamps in the description. So if you want to look for anything specifically, it will be down there. Also at the end I'm going to have a specific config file, which changes the blurriness of the screen, which is actually, it's pretty useful. So if you didn't know about that, I would really recommend using that at least. So I'll start off with just general controls. It's 12%, but I use a specific number which was done from mousesensitivity.com, which is 42cm 360. So I run 400 DPI, 12% in game. Vehicle, it's like 28% because it felt right. But obviously I'm not a massive vehicle player, but when I use scouts, it felt about right for me. Raw mouse input, I like it on. Off, at the start of the game it felt a bit crisper, but I did a few tests and there's actually quite a bit of acceleration with it off for me, and I don't know why, but yeah, that's what I found out. Worked best was on. I didn't really want to change it afterwards. So I've had a bit of a cold, so my voice is a little bit sketchy at the moment. Other than that, it's pretty much all default. I don't like uniform soldier aiming, just because I've played games where it slows your aim down a lot when you aim in. So it was hard for me to get used to, so I preferred it like that. So it's pretty much, I think, all default. I haven't changed the zoom sensitivity, just because I didn't want to change muscle memory. So that's about it for that. Gameplay, another big thing is click button. I don't like using hold because it allows you only have to click once. You don't have constant pressure on the right hand side of your mouse when you're having to track targets. That's why I prefer click. It's just, a preference thing, but that's basically my logic behind it. Sprint, that's another big thing. I use hold and I use it for shift. I think that's default. But the reason I use it hold is because it's like crab walking or whatever you want to call it. So it means in my screen I'm making no sound. At the start of the game, even enemies couldn't hear you when you do this. I think they patched it. But the reason I still like doing this is because I'm trying to move around. It means that no one can... I can't hear my own footsteps, so it allows me to hear everything else around me more clearly. So if I'm flanking, I can do this and still move quicker than obviously walking. Not as fast as sprinting, but I can hear everything that's going on. And all the sounds don't get muffled by my own footsteps. So I find that's really useful, especially when you're going in buildings and you need to know the information. Other than that, it's pretty much default. I've turned off, bad luck in game. Tutorials obviously off. Just random stuff I've turned off. Not really anything that helps you out too much. All my HUD visibilities are all default just because I pretty much learned to play like that, so I don't like to change these things around too often. Again, minimap size is just pretty much all default. So my hipfire reticle, it's just 100%, all red, all that off. So for the actual optics reticle, 85% felt right for me. Sometimes when I was using a Cobra sight, I might bump it down to about 80%, 81%, just because it was a little bit too big. But when I'm using a Coyote, I like it at 85. It's just what I've learnt to play with. Glow, if you have it on 300% or 200%, sometimes on maps like Locker, it's too bright, and then it's really hard to know exactly where your reticle is. That's why I just got it back at 100%, and obviously just all red, 0 for the others. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, hit indicator, I've got it as big as possible, just it's more of a feedback thing. Just, I don't know, it felt like my retro felt better, but obviously it isn't. It's just I like the bigger hit markers because on BF3 I played on 720p, which was bigger icons, and for me I was just more used to that. And obviously visibility is on 100%. For some reason I like green hit indicator colors, it's just very bright. And then for headshots, all 0% makes it black. And then for kill shots it's red. The red bursts through the green, so I find it really easy to see. It's nothing special, it's what I prefer. So just, use what colours you want. If you like a default, just use that. It's nothing obviously too great about it, but if for kill shots I really would recommend changing it to another colour other than default, just because you know exactly when they are dead. So it allows you to stop shooting instantly and switch targets. So for the rest of this, I'm pretty sure it's default. I haven't changed around too much with all that. I turned off share usage data just because I didn't want to... I don't know if it used internet when it was trying to send the data through, so I just turn that stuff off. Same as crash reports. So for audio, it's another big thing. Don't worry about the master volume. That obviously depends what your computer volume set to and all that. But war tapes, it's better for footsteps, and also things like reloading. It's more sharper sounds. It's really strange to at first get used to, but it's probably the best competitive experience in my opinion. It gives a big wide variety of sounds. It's quite loud, but if you're used to like headphones or whatever, it's quite a change. So it'll take some getting used to. But the best thing about it is you can hear, soldiers calling out, and it's very sharp, and you can pinpoint sounds accurately, and that's basically why I use it. Stereo, don't use surround sound. I got 2 speakers and headphones. Rest of that's all default. So onto video settings. Resolution 1920 by 1080. I could be playing on 1440p, but I learnt to play on 1920. I also prefer playing on a 20-inch screen rather than a 27-inch, just because my muscle memory is better at that, because I've used it obviously for a long time. So it's just a preference thing. I didn't really want to adjust to another resolution. I just quite like playing on this. Obviously the FPS a little bit higher as well. So full screen brightness, I play on 100%, but that depends on your monitor settings, your own preference of how bright you want your screen, obviously. So yeah, vertical sync, I play with that off. If you play with it on, please turn it off, because it puts a lot more input lag onto your screen. You really do want that off if you can. Field of view, I like that at 98. Just gives me a little bit more awareness when I move around the map. I also like sitting quite close to my screen, so it feels quite natural, that FOV for me. If you sit further back, maybe a little bit lower FOV might be a little bit better for you. Other than that, field of view scaling and ADS, I have that off. A lot of people play with that on, because it's default in game. But I like it BF3, so when I zoom in, it allows me to have a bit more, obviously a smaller FOV, which makes me focus on targets a little bit easier. And for me personally, I find it easy to see where my bullet's going. It may feel like you've got more recoil when you first start, but it's a more true recoil, because if you have a high FOV, it'll look like someone's got no recoil at all. But in reality, you're missing a lot of the recoil, you're missing where your bullets are going. So that's why I personally like to have it zoom in, and also just because of BF3, I'm more used to it as well. Other than that, colorblind off. Weapon DOF, it makes the base of your gun a little bit more blurry, so it allows me to focus on my reticle a bit better. Also, I think it's been on pretty much the whole time I've played, so I don't like adjusting too many things when I don't have to. For graphics quality, I have it custom. Well, actually, it's total just on low. I used to have custom because I changed my mesh quality, but I once decided just to have it on low everything, low and off. Obviously, just because you get more FPS, and the second reason mainly is if you played it on high ultra settings, a lot of the grasses will camouflage targets, so you won't be able to spot people as easy. So that's why playing on low, if you're looking for the best competitive experience, it's quite a lot better in my opinion. And obviously, of course, the FPS is a lot higher, so if you're using like high hertz monitors, it helps out a lot for that as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for video settings. So key bindings, I wouldn't look too much at this. There's a few that I really would recommend changing. First one would be crouch. I have that as control. I also have it as hold rather than toggle. Reason being, so if you're toggling your crouch button, you obviously can go like this, and it's not very precise. The reason I like holding is because I can bob and weave a bit easier when I'm in gunfights. And also another thing is, if you're behind cover, rather than just having a little bit less control, if you can just tap it really quickly, you can spot things really quickly over targets. Over cover, so they won't be able to rip your head off as easily. Just gives you that little bit more precision. And also when you're jumping, you can judge a little bit easier when to release your crouch button. So it's a lot easier to do crouch slides and stuff. That's why I quite like it. Another big thing, so I don't know exactly where it is in settings. It should be common, yeah, spot. I use Alt rather than, I think it's Q on default. Now the reason being for that is pretty much with your thumb, right? You're only using spacebar, and Alt's really easy to press with your thumb, so it means that you can have full range of movement, do everything else, and also spot at the same time. So any single gunfight that you get into, you can easily spot your enemy. So you can be in middle gunfights and spotting them. And this is actually very good. Even if you lose a gunfight, you've pretty much always got your target spotted. So this, in a competitive environment, helps your team out so much. I used to actually get quite annoyed at when one of my teammates had been in a gunfight and they would lose it and that target wouldn't be spotted. So this way I can always be spotting an enemy that I'm in a gunfight with. And if I lose a gunfight, my teammate obviously knows exactly where he is. So it's really handy. And even in a public sense, you help your team out and you also get points for every spot assist. So that's why I like it, and it's really easy to use. I use Q to switch weapons mainly because I think I learnt playing a little bit of Counter-Strike and COD 4. So that's pretty much why I use that, and I've just got so used to that rather than scrolling or using my 1, 2, 3, 4 to switch. And that's pretty much it. I think for, there's a few odd things in here which I really wouldn't copy, like Pro to C rather than whatever default Z or whatever it is. There's a couple of strange things, but none of them really are that handy. If you really want to know like all of my key bindings, it'll be in my config, which will be in my description. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to show you how to remove all motion blur from your screen, which is very handy, and show you my custom config which I use. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to make a custom CFG file, which you can put into show your FPS, cap your FPS, remove motion blur from your screen, which is quite a big one. So you just go to where you've got the game installed. I've got it on an SSD. Go to Origin, Battlefield 4, and if you want to make one, you go new, you go to text document, and you make it user.cfg, and that's that. So that's, just make it into a CFG file. If sometimes with 8.1 it can be a little funny, so just basically have to look around to make it into a file like that. So that's what I've got in my settings. So that's to show you FPS. I don't have that anymore, so if I want to show my FPS, it'd be 1. The reason is I have it on Shadowplay now, so I don't get it in my recorded video. It doesn't show my FPS. I also don't cap my FPS, which is that command right there. If you want to, cap your FPS something 145, obviously save it. So yeah, I've just got those lines there just in case I ever wanted to do anything with it. So all this stuff here is to disable your motion blur. It's seriously a big difference, and it helps quite a lot. There's a video in the description which will show the difference of what it looks like with and without. Seriously, give it a go with it. It's really handy. All this stuff here is just disabling acceleration. At the start of the game when BF4 came out, there was a lot of acceleration in the game, so I got those commands just to remove a little bit of that acceleration, which helped. And I haven't just wanted to remove them since, because I've got no reason to, and it's what I've used the whole game, so I didn't want anything to feel any different. So it's pretty simple. That's what I use, and I hope you learned something in this video. If you have any questions, leave it down in the description, in the comments. All this information will be in the description, so if you want to know something, if you want to go back to a timestamp, it's down there. And I hope you learned something. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.